Sure. I think definitely you have to look at the opportunities on a global landscape because the world is flat with technology, right? You don't just exist in a bubble. And even if you think you exist in a bubble, other people don't. So everyone is looking globally, and I think the one who is tunnel vision and just looking at themselves or in their backyard, they are missing out a lot. So being able to change the perspective from, this is foreign and this is local, right? To more like I'm just hopping over to a different part of the same company or the same room or the same organization. That kind of mindset shift is number one, very important for any entrepreneur to take advantage of the opportunities anywhere in the world. And I'm not any expert in going cross border or in like business, anything like that, but I would say that when there is a unique opportunity that someone is faced with, right? Usually it starts off with a personal encounter or some unique insight that you have gained through the experiences that you have. So just like how most of the companies, in fact, all of the companies that I mentioned earlier were started because I had some problems myself. So I was aware that, let's say I needed someone who is working with me full time, but not based in Singapore. And that's how I started the company. And then I was aware that there was this gap in information that nobody really was talking about the other side of Myanmar. So I started Here Myanmar. And yeah, you gotta be aware also that sometimes there will be things that come your way and failures that come your way that you just have to deal with. And if you just learn from these mistakes, along the way and try and survive, you might just be um you know fortunate enough to make something work. But if you die or if you give up too early, I think that's when, even if the cards are all stacked up nicely and everything aligns properly, but you're no longer alive, you're no longer there to reap those opportunities, right? To pick up all these things that could have become a really good business. So I really love the saying by someone, I can't remember who, that most startups do not die by homicide but by suicide, because they are, founders disputes, or the someone decides that this is no longer worth doing, they quit, or they find that these setbacks are too major for them, they spend money too quickly, and then so on and so forth. But all this kind of makes it like almost a tourist endeavor, where you try something for a couple of months, doesn't work out, and you leave, and then you say that entrepreneurship is not for me. Because that kind of mentality is the same problem with investing, right? Tourist investors, they play the stock market, they even buy cryptocurrencies for a couple of weeks, and then they like, okay, this is not working for me, I'm losing money, and they quit, and they say that investing is a bad idea, right? And then you wonder why 95% of people lose money in the stock market, because most of these people probably invest less than 1 year. And things go up and down during 1 year, and if you lose money and you get burned and you think that this is not a good activity and you just write off the entire activity of investing, I think that's the loss of the individual, right? Not the stock market, because stock market has already shown that it's also it's volatile, but over time it's going up. And same thing with the starting a business. I think it's very volatile. There are a lot of risks, and you shouldn't go in thinking that you are going to be like an employee in a big company where you get a paycheck every month. I think that will be a huge misconception. But at the same time, if you are able to survive, right, and able to learn from mistakes that happen along the way, there is a lot of things that can be de-risked. You can make sure that each failure is not repeated again. And you are also doing it only when you have a very strong conviction that you have a unique skill, you have a unique insight on the problem that few other people or no other people have. And ability to hire people who are smarter than you to come along to solve this problem, paying customers who are willing to put their money where their mouth is and start offering you something for the solution that you have. Because like for me, like I was my own customer for Crossworks, right? So I knew that even if I was the only customer, it was something that I wanted to do. But a lot of times you see companies that start with this idea that I want to start a business, right? Rather than trying to solve a real problem, or whether they have no customers or imaginary customers or free customers, right? Who just want to take advantage of a businessman who's trying to get to market and offer them some services that they would otherwise need to pay for. So offering like free trials or free POCs, I think these are not things that I'm a huge fan of, because it doesn't really give you a right signal on whether there's actual demand for the product or service that someone is offering. And rather, if someone is actually willing to pay and pay good money for the service, whether it is very manual and very like hackish at the start, right, that's a signal that at least you have some people who are going to make the unit economics work. Because unfortunately or fortunately, right, this is a part of the world where there is a lot of caution, there is a lot of mindset change that needs to happen in the investor community as well. They are looking for traction, right, for actual revenue figures, for ability to make the unit economics work, rather than just fancy ideas and PowerPoint slide decks that you see, in boom years of the COVID era, or even in places like America, where these guys have a much more developed startup ecosystem, and they know that the risks are managed with things like the power law, things like the right experience. But I think for Southeast Asia as well as for Myanmar, there is a need to still be able to just be default alive and be self-sustaining, at least for the first couple of years. And that can also be sort of a benefit for the founders to think of building a business that can sort of give them a bigger stake in the company at the end of the day, rather than be overly diluted by investor money. And I think on a practical point, like going to cross-border destinations would definitely be quite relevant in the current context of Myanmar, because if you want to sort of look at the investor community and pitch anything to it, like regional companies, or regional VCs, regional angel investors, I think there's still a very low appetite to look at anything coming out of Myanmar, right? So this is like coming from someone who has significant business interest in Myanmar. I think you have to be realistic as well, that there's a huge PR problem that the country is facing, and trying to go against the grain, would probably either land you with pretty uninspiring results, or maybe you are even getting taken advantage of by people who are trying to be like grave robbers and lowball you in terms of offers, just because of the perceived risk that is on the horizon. At the same time, I think keeping in mind that going cross-border also means that you have less home ground advantage. You are in a new market where there is many competitors who know the market better than you. So yeah, it's kind of a tough decision, right? Whether to stay or to go, whether to look at certain markets. But it goes back to the fundamental question that I raised earlier, whether you have a significant unique insight, a problem that you're looking to solve, customers that are willing to pay, and ability to attract team members who are smarter than yourself, better than yourself, complementing yourself to go at this really big problem. Because I think that goes back to one of the earlier questions that you put up in the slides, right? Which is, what is a startup? I think it's usually like a small team with a big vision, trying to do something that would fundamentally improve or change the way people are looking at the status quo.
That really also resonate with what Startup Weekend is doing as well, because it is all about focusing on customers, understanding all the 9 possible failures that you could face along
Mm.
your journey of startup and everything. So thank you so much for sort of sharing all the things. I think our time is a little bit over. So
Mm.
what's your last advice for all the, I mean, being well, what do you want to really sort of tell the startups as your advice for this end of the session?
No, I don't mean to be a downer, but I think I always tell people that, if you need encouragement or inspiration, you probably shouldn't start your own company, because there's a very difficult journey ahead. So you need to be very self-motivated. You need to have a very strong conviction that this is something I really want to do, even if, I get slapped on the face many times, and you will probably get slapped on the face many times. You will probably wake up thinking, why did I decide to do this? So maybe if you are needing more inspiration and you are still thinking about something, it may not be the right time. You may want to spend some time working for another company to pick up some of these skills, or to really refine your ideas a bit more, distill it a bit more. And when it comes to opportunities or problems, I think the idea is kind of cheap nowadays, right? You can probably ask ChatGPT for 99 ideas on startup, and things like have been done in almost every different format configuration possible. But it's all about the execution, right? It's all about how you get the boots on the ground, roll up your sleeves, and make sure that you get your customers, you get your product, you get your marketing working, and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, you yourself, right? Talking about your story of running a company for the last 5 years, it's already a kind of inspiration because there's somebody out there, right, who look like some of those like people who have the entrepreneurship in their heart, right? So I think this is the inspiration itself. Although we all agree that so there's so many challenges along the way, and there's a lot of things along the journey. But I think what you're saying is really sort of helpful for the startups as well, I guess. And thank you so much for sort of sharing us your thoughts and your background story and everything. And maybe I think
No
I'll
problem.
end this
Happy to be
session
here.
right now. Yeah. အားလုံးကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်အခုလိုမျိုးကျွန်တော်နားထောင်ပေးရလို့ကျွန်တော်အဲ့လိုနောက်ပွဲတွေမှာအဲ့လိုပဲကျွန်တော်တို့ကနိုင်ငံတကာက startup founder တွေလိုက်တွေ့ပြီးတော့သူတို့ရဲ့တကယ် journey တွေကိုအခုလိုမျိုးမေးပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော် program မှာ journey share ဖို့စီစဉ်ရှိပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ဒီနေ့ကတော့ဒီလောက်ပါပဲကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ so thank you so much Joshua
Thank you.
see you soon
See you.
bye